Could Nicolas Pepe be on his way to Saudi Arabia? Yes, people, wife boy, welcome back to another Arsenal transfer news video. As always, if you do not want to miss daily Arsenal transfer news vids, which I'm guessing you don't since you clicked on this video, make sure you subscribe down below on my road to 4,000 subscribers, and importantly hit the bell notification button so you never miss a future video on this channel. And let me know in the comment section your thoughts on Pepe's potential exit from Arsenal Football Club. Let's not waste any more time and get straight into the tweet brought today by Eduardo Hagen stating this: breaking news, Nicolas Pepe has been approached by a Saudi club, unnamed right now, but at the moment there's a big difference in wage expectations, and as reported by journalist James Bench. And he went on to tweet afterwards saying that Nicolas Pepe is very open to the move. And this is what I want to hear, some outgoings, because we made our purchases, we bought in Havertz, we brought in Urian Timber and Declan Rice, but now it's time to sell players, because I do understand that Arsenal put up over 200 million this window. If you want to sign more players, it comes with a caveat of having to sell first, and if that means get rid of Pepe, Tavares, Lokonga, Holding, Suarez, players like that, goodbye, they have to go. And Pepe has to be top of that list. Look, when Pepe first came to the club, I know everyone was so excited to see him. 2019, I remember the scenes. We spent £72 million on a player. We were out of the Champions League. We didn't think we had the pool like this. And we saw one of the top prospects around in Nicolas Pepe, who had a breakout season in Ligue 1. It didn't quite materialise that way. Obviously, he sold me a dream in that first game at Anfield. I know we lost 3-1, but that first game at Anfield, he was unbelievable. There was one point where, from a corner kick, he almost scored. He took down Robertson with one skill move and sent him. And he was one of the first players ever to actually successfully take on and beat Virgil van Dijk in a dribble. But since then, it hasn't quite materialised for Pepe. I've seen the stats, people comparing him to Sancho and saying he wasn't that big of a flop. Look, I don't need stats. I don't need the X, Y, and Z to tell you that Pepe was good at Arsenal. He wasn't. He wasn't good at Arsenal whatsoever, and it was right for him to move on. He's not an Arteta type player. He's a transitional footballer. He's not a possession style footballer, and he just doesn't quite fit Arsenal's DNA. End of. And that's okay. Not every player, not every manager is going to fit Arsenal's scheme. Look, Unai Emery's an amazing manager. He didn't quite cut it at Arsenal. Many will say give him more time. I disagree. He had enough time. It just didn't quite work out. He lost the dressing room for one reason or another, and it was time for him to move on. And he's done brilliantly at Aston Villa. He did well at Villarreal and Sevilla before that as well. Unai Emery's not a bad manager. He just wasn't an Arsenal type manager. Same with Pepe today. Pepe is not a bad player. I genuinely don't think so. He's just not an Arsenal player. So you have to sell. You have to be ruthless and let him go. I understand we're not getting anywhere near 72 million. Absolutely not. But can you get 20? Can you get 15? Because I'd take that. I know some Arsenal fans are wanting like 30 million for him. Look, let's be real. You're not getting 30 million for Pepe. I don't think even Jordan Belfort, prime Wolf of Wall Street, is getting 30 million for Nicolas Pepe. Let's be completely honest about it. I think you're getting 15 to 20 million tops. But if Saudi Arabia are interested, it's time to milk that cow, man, because these lot have no concept of money, apparently, because they're just going for anyone and everyone. So if we're able to get 15, 20 million for Pepe, it's time for him to say goodbye, man. And look, it will be sad to see him go in the extent that he never lived up to the potential of the price tag, and it will be Arsenal's biggest flop of all time in terms of signing, especially given in terms of net, how much we paid for him and how much we go on to sell for him. But you got to look for it in an extent and say, it probably marks the end of like that process for Arsenal, where the last of like the Unai Emery era in a big extent. And I know Unai Emery brought in players like Saka, etc. But of his big signings, Unai Emery's big signings, like the Torreiras, Socrates, etc. They've moved on now. It's Arteta's team. This is Arteta's team. This is Arteta's Arsenal. There's no really remnants of Wenger or Unai Emery really left now. And I think that's the right thing. Look, when a manager comes into a club, they say you need 2, 3, 4 seasons to really implement their style and their crop of players. And they need at least 4 transfer windows to make that happen. And I think Arteta's had that now, and he's had that in abundance. So now I think it's time for these players, the ones that went out on loan last season, and not young players that went out on loan. Because you know, when a young player goes out on loan, that's absolutely fine. I have no qualms about that whatsoever. In fact, I'm one for it. Send players like Patino out on loan, like Balogun out on loan, so they can get some more game time while they're not going to get starts for us right now. But if it's players like Cedric Suarez, players like Pepe going out on loan, what's the point? They're old anyway. They're not going to get any better. You're just doing that because you can't sell them. So just sell them, man. And even if it is under the market value, sell them. Get rid. Write them off. They're not on the wages anymore. Don't have to worry about them going on loan or anything. You take what you can get. You cut your losses and you move on. We're in championship mode right now. I made this point in another video, right? Just like how they do in NBA, NFL, they have championship mode, they have rebuild mode. That's how they do it. They have draft picks, etc., so it makes sense. But for Arsenal a couple of seasons back, we were in rebuild mode. You sign youngsters and you train them up and you see what happens. The likes of Ben Whites, the Ramsdales, the Erdegaards. You throw your cards out there, you roll your dice, you take a bit of a risk, and you sign those players. You spend money on to many extents, unproven players, but you think they're going to turn into something good. And more or less, we've hit the lottery. We hit jackpot. Ramsdale's been brilliant. White's been absolutely brilliant. Odegaard's been sensational. For me, one of the players of the season last year. We did really, really well. Those weren't players that were necessarily wanted by other clubs, really. But we took the punt, we took the gamble, and it paid off. Now we're in championship mode. We're not in rebuild mode anymore. We're in championship mode. We're in win trophy season. Where if we don't win a trophy next season, it's a failure in my eyes. That's what we've led up to. We've gone to the top of the mountain. It's now time to plant our flag in the ground and say, this is ours. That's what we need to do. And if that's the case, you're going to need to be ruthless at this time. Certain players have been on us from the start of the journey, but they can't quite take us over the edge. And that's okay. That's okay. Some players, you have to understand, you have to be ruthless in this game and say, look, I look at you like Pepe and, okay, you haven't lived up to expectation. We've kept you around, but it's time to let you go now. Players like Balogun, Patino, understand they're young players that maybe a couple of seasons back, they would have got a chance in this team because we were so bad. But that's not the case anymore. We're building a super team right now where there's no space for Patino. There's no space for Balogun. We haven't got time to give out internships to these young players no more. So you say to them, look, I appreciate your time spent with us through the academy. You're not going to make it in the first team. Are you happy to go out on loan again? If they want to play more games and they want to have more stability in their career, they'll say no. And if that's the case, fine, okay, then we're willing to listen to offers for you. But do you understand we want good money for you? We're not just going to sell you for nothing. And also, we want to include sell-on clauses and buyback clauses because if you do amount to the potential that we believe you have, we want to have the opportunity to either bring you back or if that's not the case, at least make some money from you again in the future. And they'll be okay with that. Well, they have to be because we're the club. We make the decisions. We're the football team at the end of the day. They're just our employees. But either way, that's where you got to be smart in negotiations. And that's what I want to do for these young players. But if it's older players like Pepe, as talked about with Saudi Arabia, Suarez, even Lokonga, Nuno Tavares, etc., it just chop them off the block, man. Get rid. It's time to go. And it is ruthless. I know it's harsh. And I know that there's no friends, they say, in business. But that's just the way it's got to be. Because I want to win a Premier League and Champions League. And I'm not being funny, but Pepe ain't going to help us win a Premier League or Champions League. So he's dead weight in my opinion. And that's the case. In my opinion, if you're building a squad that's going to the Premier League or Champions League, every single player has to play a part. And that doesn't mean that they have to contribute in games, but they can at least be players to have round and learn from other players. Like an N1 I'm not expecting N1 to get minutes in the Premier League or Champions League next season. Maybe the FA Cup or Carabao Cup if he's lucky. But at least he's there as a young player to absorb from the players above him and absorb being in around training sessions and from Arteta and the coaching staff. I'm okay with that because he's a young boy. He's only 16. I don't want Pepe or Suarez to take time absorbing from the training sessions around him. I'd rather drop him and bring like Brooke Norton-Coffey up or someone like that. At least give a younger kid a chance. Do you get what I mean? That's personally what I would do. So have 20 really good players, 18 to 20 really good players in the squad that are going to contribute Premier League, Champions League, whenever they're called upon, seamless, into the team, out with one, in with the other, and then have the rest of the 5-10 players of the squad that are just on standby, ready to go, not necessarily really good players, but are ready to slot in at any point. Do you get what I mean? That's what I think Arsenal need to build. And we're on our way there. We're on our way there for absolute sure. We've got some elite ballers in this squad. I think Declan Rice, Saliba, Saka and Odegaard are our 4 world-class players that could walk into any team in the Premier League, if not the world, in my opinion. That's how good they are. Genuinely, I think we're pushing really so in the right direction. Today, I don't know why, but I had a funny feeling we're going to win the league next season. I was talking to my barber as I was getting my haircut, and I was telling him, I said, look, you know what? I think we're going to win the league next season. I just got a funny feeling in my bones, and I didn't have that last season. Even though we were in such a good position, I still thought, you know what? Man City are charging. Man City can make a move for it. But next season, I don't know why, but I've got a good feeling in my bones, and that's what the good stuff Arsenal been doing and Arteta's been doing, pushing in the right direction. And selling certain players like Pepe, like Lokonga, like Cedric Suarez, Holding, etc. is another step in the right direction. Because if we sell those players, we can then move on to buying players. And who knows, man? Could we be getting someone like Tchouaméni, Caicedo, a right winger potentially has been talked about? Who knows? But at least by selling players, you're building up the capital to make movements in the future. As always, if you appreciated this video, make sure you drop a like down below so it gets out to more people in the algorithm. And if you do not want to miss daily Arsenal transfer news vids, I promise you when I say this is the place to be, make sure you subscribe down below on my road to 4,000 subscribers. And importantly, because a lot of people forget this, hit the bell notification button so you never miss a future video on this channel. I've been YFootball. I appreciate you guys all for tuning in, and I hope to catch you all in my next one. Take care.